Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is going to be my first video posted on this YouTube channel. I have a podcast. The podcast is called Off to Mars. Link will be in the description. I hope you guys will go like, share, download, tell people about it, get it bumping. I want to blow up. So basically, the point of these YouTube videos is going to be because my podcast, I only get 30 minutes per episode once a week. So that's not enough. It's not enough. So we're going to do YouTube. Why not go cross-platform, right? So let's jump right into it. Today I'm going to be talking about a conspiracy theory that I found very interesting, actually, because it happened basically right in my own backyard. I'm from British Columbia, Canada, and this story takes place in Duncan, just off of Vancouver Island in Canada. Same place, British Columbia. I'm about 9 hours from there. Between 9 and 12 hours, I'm going to say that. If it's 7, I'll be really surprised. But yeah, whatever. So this is about Granger Taylor. He was 32 years old when he disappeared. When he was 13 years old, he was already taking toys apart. He was very antisocial. His parents knew he was weird. He was going to be an off child. But he would sit in his room day in and day out and dissect his toys to figure out how they worked from the inside out. He was a very smart man. Or boy, whatever you want to say. He was a man when he disappeared. He was a boy now, so we'll call him a boy. I believe in his 20s, he rebuilt a train that was left as it was unsalvageable, basically, and he rebuilt it in 2 years. It's pretty impressive. He rebuilt a World War II fighter jet, and then ended up reselling it for $20,000, I believe, which was a lot of money in the 70s. So basically the story is, or the conspiracy theory is, that he got picked up by aliens. So he kept having these reoccurring dreams where he was being visited at night by these beings, I guess you could say, quote unquote extraterrestrials. But anyway, so he was getting these reoccurring dreams, and he told his friends about it, and he ended up telling his friends that he was going to be leaving on a voyage. It was going to be a 42-month interstellar voyage to explore the Milky Way galaxy. He told his friends he wouldn't take any of them with him because they had too much to lose down here on Earth, and he didn't have anything to lose. Now, we will go back a bit more. So, he was about 15 when he dropped out of school. No, 13, 14 when he dropped out of school. He was in grade 8. He didn't finish school. He was very smart. He ended up getting an apprenticeship from a mechanic. About a year after the apprenticeship, he decided to go solo and made a shop in his parents' backyard. And then he also wanted to take on UFOs, because UFOs were, at that time, in Duncan and around Vancouver Island, they were the talk of the towns, basically. The cities and the towns, they were all talking about UFOs because there were so many sightings going on around that time that people were seeing them like crazy. News reports were getting them, we're getting sightings in. Nobody knew what to believe except for the people that saw them. It was craziness. And so he decided to take on the journey of figuring out how these UFOs worked once people in the town started sighting them more. These two nurses, I believe, saw a UFO hovering above the ground with these cool colors, and they could see through the transparent glass these two humanoid things sitting in the cockpit, and then it just darted off behind these trees and then shot up into the sky and was gone in seconds. That was one of the reports that was on the UFOs around that time. I believe this was in like the early 70s. And so this is probably this must be like the early to late 70s or mid to late 70s. And he decided to build a quote unquote UFO in his parents' garden or backyard. And then he put it up on stilts. And he put a couch in there, a TV. It was stocked with so many books on UFOs and like fiction, like science fiction and stuff. And he just sit in this UFO day in, day out, reading these books and stuff. And I should mention that this guy was a genius. So he went to the junkyard and found two radio broadcast satellites, and he took them home. And they weren't salvageable. They were in the dump, and he ended up rebuilding both of them so they worked. And he had them. You can see the antennas sticking out of the UFO in the picture. But so he didn't just build some little backyard UFO where he could go chill in. He built a fully functional, like, radio tower basically, where he could talk to people up in space or whatever. Quote unquote. And so let's go back to when he told his friends about the interstellar voyage. Nobody really knew what to think, so they always kind of let it be. And then one day, I'm leaving out a big part. So he told his friends that same day that he was going to be leaving on a stormy night. They were going to come get him on a stormy night. That way, humans couldn't see their spaceship when they came down and took off. So it had to be a stormy night with like very low visibility. And he told his friends that. And they didn't think anything of it until 1980s when Granger disappeared. It was a very, very stormy night, one of the worst storms they've ever seen in Duncan, I believe. And he went to a diner, and the waitress that was serving him said that he was not dressed prepared for the storm at all. He was wearing jeans, work boots, or like logging boots, and just like a blue knit sweater. And he didn't have a jacket or anything on him. And he ate, he paid for his meal, and then he left. And that was the last time he was ever seen again, was at that diner that night. He pulled off in his blue Datsun truck, and that was it. Never to be seen again. Fast forward later on, so the next day, his parents were confused. They didn't know where he went. He left them a note. It was pinned to the back of their door, and it read, "Dear mother and father, I have gone away to walk aboard an alien spaceship. As recurring dreams assured, a 42-month interstellar voyage to explore the vast universe, then return." Hold on. "I am leaving behind all my possessions to you, as I will no longer require the use of any. Please use the instructions in my will as a guide to help. Love, Granger." So his parents didn't know what to believe. They notified the police. Nobody knew what to believe. I don't know how much further it was or how many years it was, but they ended up finding a crater not far from the location that he was supposed to be at, which is like some mountain. And they found this crater with like human bones in it. Now, back then they didn't have the DNA testing skills that we have today, or the technology for that kind of investigation that we have today, where they couldn't just trace the bones back to the DNA of the person, right? They didn't have that. So they just assumed. But they assumed the officials that were doing the DNA and all that, they didn't think that they were Granger's bones. His truck was never found. And it was just crazy. And then November 30th, 1980 was when he was officially declared dead. He was 32 years old. No one's ever found him. No one's ever seen the UFO. The police actually think that he committed suicide. That's what they wanted to rule it as, just because it was the easiest thing that pointed towards suicide. So they assumed they found remnants of dynamite, and they thought that he blew himself up. And he just told his friends this story so no one would go looking for him. But his friends that have known him for years say that that's not true, and he was not suicidal at all, nor was he even depressed. He was fine, and he was very smart, and he was making good money, and he had a good life ahead of him. So nobody understood why he would just disappear, or why he would even attempt to commit suicide. So they didn't want to believe that, and they still don't believe that. They still think he's up in space somewhere, and he's gonna return home one day, maybe. My thoughts on this story, I don't really know what to say. I think it's pretty insane. Do I believe in aliens? Yes, I do. Why do I believe in aliens? There's a lot of evidence that points towards them. You don't have to believe me if you don't want to, but I mean, just go on the CIA's website. They have now declassified a ton of UFO information, which is great. Also, NASA has found the Kepler planets, which can sustain life and aren't that far off from Earth. So, you don't think there's life up there, you're insane. If you don't think we're being visited by another life form, you're insane. It's happening. And yeah, I think, I think that this story was cool. I hope you guys enjoyed the story as well. And hopefully one day we'll get some updates on what actually happened to Granger Taylor, and if maybe he did actually get taken away by extraterrestrials. Who knows? I find it kind of odd that he built a UFO in his backyard and then just ends up going missing after telling everybody he's going to be going on a 42-month star voyage, basically. So, I don't really know what to believe there. Do I think he committed suicide? No. Why is there a crater there then? Or like dynamite or whatever? I don't know. Maybe it was for something else that included takeoff or something. I don't know what he needed the dynamite for. But I do know that this story was insane, and that he wasn't the only one with UFO sightings around those years. There was a lot of people. It was the talk of Vancouver Island for a long time. Everybody was seeing these UFOs, but then once Granger got picked up, the sightings went down drastically. It's almost as if they were looking for somebody, and then they found him. So yeah, that's the story. Thank you guys for listening to me. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you enjoyed this, please like it. Feedback's always welcome. I like constructive criticism, so if you guys have any input for me, write it in the comments below. I'll be sure to read them. And please go and download my podcast if you enjoyed this video, because on the podcast I talk about like today's news, my input, and like my opinions on today's news. Music, I go through the music charts and all that. I go through conspiracy theories, but I like conspiracy theories, so I thought I'd do a YouTube channel on them too. But I might do other things on this channel too. We'll see. Time will tell. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and I really hope you enjoy your day. Bye.